Hello and welcome to the sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Modern Open in Dallas. Brought to you by Ultimate Guard. I'm Nick Miller alongside Lance Austin. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. Now, see, your name came up last week thanks to your results in Orlando.
That's right.
The Modern Classic. You kind of brought back the Zur deck. There's a bunch of rage about it. You know, Ari took the deck online for Star City Games.
Yep.
But you're back here, and you're playing in Dallas with a similar list. You kind of updated it since then.
A little bit.
And, you know, you're off to a pretty good start as well, 3-2. Well, what's the draw to this deck?
The draw to the deck is really Geist. I mean, I played Geist for a long time. Played it in Jeskai. I just love the card. It's just amazing at closing out games. But I just wanted to switch it up, try something cool. I think I came across this list, like a list similar to this, like a couple years ago. And I was like, oh, you know, it's just real sweet. So I wanted to try it out. And I've been kind of messing around with it online for about a year and a half or so now, just on and off, and hadn't really brought it to an event. You know, didn't do so great at the Standard Open there in Orlando, so figured I'd enter the Modern Classic. And honestly, I was just kind of having fun, whatever, and just played the deck. And yeah, just ended up doing really well. I got pretty lucky, I'd say. You know, as always, you have to in tournaments like that. It did well, and I probably wasn't even going to play it this week, honestly. But the articles that came out, I was like, oh, you know, I just can't. I can't not play it now. You know,
yeah, you're the guy now.
Yeah,
you got to play the deck some more.
Yeah.
So of course, Geist is pretty good, but of course the deck's named after Zur.
That's right.
You know, the Esper card here that can bring up a bunch of little tutor targets, and in your deck you've got, of course, Detention Sphere, Spreading Seas, the new Thassa, which you brought in.
That's right.
And then, of course, Shield of the Godhead, Steel of the Godhead.
That's right.
Shadowmoor All-Star right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk about the tutor targets,
Yep.
and then, of course, why you brought Thassa into the deck, because this wasn't in your list last week.
That's right. I'll start off with that since it's a unique one now. I mean, I played it in the list before, but you know, I was playing against a lot of aggro decks at one point online, and it was just becoming a liability. Really wasn't doing much for me. So I decided to, you know, replace it with Ghostly Prison, which was amazing against those kind of decks. But last week, Ghostly Prison didn't come up a lot, and the times that I lost the game, actually I only lost once in the squits and once in the quarters. Both times the Pete Ingram playing Jeskai and Hiri, and Thassa would have just been amazing. I mean, keep my guys from getting ambushed by Snapcaster, and just to grind the game a little bit more. So I had to bring that one in, bring that back. And then, so the other tutor targets, the Detention Sphere is just amazing. It's just a great removal spell. So, you know, when you're attacking with Zur and you just got to get rid of something, that's what you get. Still the Godhead.
Combos pretty well with Geist
Traps. Amazing, yes. I mean, if you got to put it on Zur, that's great too, especially if you're playing decks that, you know, can multiple burn spell to kill him or something like that. You get him out of that range and you just race. But yeah, you prefer to put it on Geist, because then you just really can't lose the game at that point, you know?
Sure.
And then, and honestly, I mean, whenever you attack with Zur, it's really tough to lose anyway. Once you start attacking with him, you know, it's kind of rare. But and then Spreading Seas, just another target. Like if you just don't have any targets out there you want to attack, you already got your Still, you don't have any Spare targets, or a man land that's you need to get out of the way. Maybe Infect against Inkmoth next. You bring in the Spreading Seas, at least cantrips. You know, and you go get that.
Yeah, you're going to have some utility against most decks. Worst case scenario, you get to draw a card.
Yep.
Now, of course, we've seen Jace Friend's Prodigy pop up in the Grixis shells, but it's interesting to see it here in the Esper deck.
Right. Yeah, it's just great with discard. That's the reason I play it over Snapcaster, because a lot of counterspell decks you want to play Snapcaster, maybe if you're playing Bolts or whatever, but Jace is just amazing with discard. He's just amazing as a looter, really. Filter through my deck, give me what I really need. Lingering Souls also, it's a good value to be able to toss the Lingering Souls, flash it back. But really it's the discard. You want to, this deck plays similarly to Jund in a way, because, you know, you just want to kind of, you play 7 discard spells main deck, and you just want to kind of rip their hand apart a little bit. Hopefully you have Jace out, you get to flip it and keep going. Yeah, it's great against combo decks.
Yeah, that comes up when people are deciding whether they want Snapcaster Mage or Jace in their deck, because the flashback is obviously cheaper with Jace, but you don't get the body with the Snapcaster Mage. So better if you want stuff like the discard spells.
Yeah, and honestly the +1 is relevant too. You know, like you know, if they're holding back a guy, like a 2-power guy to block guys or whatever, you plus it and keep going, you know.
Right. Of course, you got Path to Exile and Negate here, 2 great spells on their own.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I used to run like some Remans and Mana Leaks or whatever, but honestly, this deck's more of a tap-out style deck, so I found those cards like really hard to hold up. And the Negate's just a great hard counter when you absolutely need it in a late game, you know, to stop, you know, relevant spells like Karn or whatever, you know.
Right. Any of the Planeswalkers and, you know, sweepers and things like that outside of Supreme Verdict, which you can't counter.
Yeah.
Now, of course, being in white, you get a bunch of the great sideboard cards, 2 of which are enchantments. So rest in peace, Stony Silence here, very good. But then you got a bunch of ley lines and timely reinforcements as well.
Right, exactly, Stony Silence, I played 3 of those in the board, even though it was Zerk and tutor it up. You want to have it in your opening hand against those kind of decks that you absolutely, that you're bringing in against. Affinity and Tron, you really want to have it. I mean, Tron can still get power out over it. Hopefully you can disrupt them at the same time, but against Affinity especially, I played Affinity twice today already in the first 3 rounds and beat it both times on the power of Stony Silence. I mean, it just locks them out of the game. Rest in Peace, same thing, Dredge, Living In. It just really just destroys those decks. And then Timely is just amazing against anything that threatens your life total. Burn, Zoo, stuff like that.
Then you got another Steal the Godhead in here, and then the Phyrexian Arena, another addition you've added after last week. You want more grind?
Yeah, exactly. Same reason. Against the Jeskai Neri decks and other grindy decks. I was Jund or whatever. I got behind against the Jeskai Neri deck last week because of Ancestral Visions and Serum Visions, stuff like that. And Phyrexian Arena would just be amazing, along with Dossie, to help me out in those matchups.
Engineered Explosives, another just great catch-all. Your deck has 3 mana. 3 colored mana, so you can hit a lot of things.
That card has saved me so many times against so many things. I've killed Blood Moons with it, which destroys my deck otherwise. You got to fetch and play around it too, but destroy Blood Moons. You can kill Etch Champion. Opposing guys, whatever.
Boggles, all those types of things. Now this deck has sort of existed for a while, but they've always kind of had some like gimmicky cards and things like that. I've noticed about your build is very streamlined. You don't have a ton of junk running around with Zero. You just have the good stuff and then like a value deck. Are there any cards you kind of want to try out, or you're looking to try to slot in here?
Yeah, I mean, there's cards that I've tried in the past or I like. Like Nevermore would be pretty cool if there was a lot of like specific combo decks running around. But honestly, I'm already pretty good against them anyway with all the discard and stuff like that. So it's kind of just a bonus, win more kind of thing. Some people have mentioned some other cards online to try out or whatever, but I'm really just trying to streamline the hate cards on the sideboard against the most popular decks. And I'm trying to make the main deck as good as I can to just grind and win, and just edge out opponents,
All right. Well, the deck's awesome. You had a great finish last weekend. We're hoping you have another one this one.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me here in the sideboard. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Dallas.